I'm Pete Samuels. I'm the executive producer for Until Dawn.
Okay, can you tell us about the setting of Until Dawn?
Sure. Well, Until Dawn is a setting where there are 8 friends who go up for a mountain retreat and get stranded on the mountain with what they later find out to be is a terrifying threat. And during the course of the night, any of them can live, any of them can die. There's a mystery, things aren't what they seem. And the player creates their own horror story through the game by the choices that they make and the decisions that they take, sometimes under a lot of pressure and requiring skill and judgment, but also through exploring the mountain to figure out what's really going on to help inform their decisions.
So you've been known to describe the story of Until Dawn as dynamically adaptive. Would you care to elaborate on this?
They're 2 quite big words, aren't they? Dynamically adaptive. Well, what we mean by that is that, for example, as I say, anybody can live and anybody can die. And when a character dies in Until Dawn, at that point, the story adapts so that the story no longer contains that character. That character doesn't appear in future scenes. That character isn't there at the end. And that's what we mean by it adapts dynamically based on what you do, based on the choices that you make, and the decisions that you take as you go through the game.
Tell us about the butterfly effect and the interface of the butterfly effect, how that kind of plays into the game.
Sure. Well, I'm sure a lot of people will know that the butterfly effect is an analogy used in chaos theory to basically describe when a small, seemingly insignificant happening can create a ripple, a chain of events that then cause something very big to happen that seems to be unconnected, but is certainly not predictable at the time. And the way we use that in Until Dawn in terms of the interface is that at a time when you make a choice or do something that sets ripples in motion that's going to change the fate of one or more of the characters, we tell the player that that's happened after they've done it with a butterfly icon on the screen. So people have to be careful what they're doing, think about what they're doing. Not all of those events are the butterfly effect events. And that kind of adds to the tension and the realism. Like life, you never really know what's going to happen as a consequence of what you do. In addition to that, we have a graphic, a dynamic graphic that we show at various stages in the story that shows you the decisions that you took and how they've affected the story branch that you're on compared to the thousands of paths that you could be on. So you can track your line compared to, as I say, all the other lines that are possible based on the decisions you make.
So obviously this leads to multiple endings in your title. Can you give us an idea of the magnitude? I'm not going to ask for a rough number because you're not going to give it, but like just the magnitude of endings and variations that you can get and how different those endings can be.
So we're very cautious about even talking about broad numbers about different endings because one person's definition of different might be different to another person's definition of different. The differences are very subtle. So when we talk about hundreds of different endings or hundreds of variations to the ending, we're talking about variations that have a noticeable difference, that make the player feel differently about the ending, and there are hundreds.
If everybody dies, is that a valid ending? There is an ending to everybody dying, essentially?
There is, and that is a very valid ending.
Can you tell us about the clues system?
Sure. So as you explore throughout the mountain, as I said, you'll find different types of things. Some of them are secrets, what we call secrets, that will kind of inform you about backstory to some extent, kind of give you an insight into what's happening or what's happened. And then there are other things which are more significant clues, and we call those clue items. And when you find a clue item, we tell you. And that's recorded in a game-wide system that you can access through the front end that shows you the clues along various clue lines, various, if you like, trains of thought about the mystery. those clues are placed there so that you can study them, and because of their significance, you can start to try to figure out what on earth's going on this mountain.
Are all of the dialogue and choices that you have in Until Dawn, are they always going to be binary, like one or the other?
Yeah, pretty much. What we've found is that by giving the player a binary choice, it gives them more of an opportunity to consider what the right thing to do is. We've found in testing that putting more than 2 options up on the screen at any one time in text is difficult for people to compare, because you have to compare A with B, B with C, A with C, and that's quite a complex process for people under time pressure. To compare A with B is a simpler process to go through, and we always want the player to get the outcome that they expect from the choice that they make.
Okay, just as a final question, what is your personal favorite feature of Until Dawn?
My personal favorite feature of Until Dawn is that it's your individual story. I think that's what makes it so different. The variety in the story, that's the big feature for me. It's that when I play and when somebody else plays through, I know that that person is getting their unique story.